out of the way. Is that where you're going? Oh, okay, maybe I'm thinking about something else. Because Danielle and I have had that conversation many times.
Fair. No, my question, well, her answer went that way. But my question is, are there any more projects in the planning, or if not, do you have a dream project you would like to do?
A dream project, we actually, Danielle and I are working on a project, and that's figuring out how to get Jensen out of the way. Nobody's recording this, right?
We don't do that.
Never.
We've talked about potentially finding ways to collaborate on things. We talked about trying even to do something with the second season of Road Food together. That didn't end up materializing, but we spent some time talking about that. And we have I think we will eventually do something.
Nice.
Yes. That's all. Without Jensen. We will find a way to each other. Yeah. I talked to Jensen and Danielle this morning for quite a while because I couldn't sleep, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, well, it's actually midday. Wait, it's evening for them. This is fine. I can call. So, yeah. Hi.
Hi. So I'm currently actually writing my master's thesis about the Destiel fan discourse. And well, there's basically...
They're giving you a degree for that?
I need a degree for that.
It's called cultural studies because it's a big part of
It's called
TV culture. Cultural studies.
Cultural study. Right.
And yeah, there's basically like 15 years of data to dig through, and my supervisor is super stoked, but yeah.
Really?
I'm a bit overwhelmed. So my question is...
So your supervisor is into the same kind of porn?
But yeah, my question is because like the show treated Destiel as a joke for quite some time, like with the fanfic episode, for example, like and then in the end, like Castiel confessed his feelings, which gave many people whiplash, including me. And would you say that your personal opinion on Destiel changed along the way, and if so, when and how, and has the productions side changed in your perception?
I think when I first started writing Destiel,
Oh my god. Drop your hat! Show us!
Drop your AO3.
Does he do any bangs? This is the question. Show us.
I remember my first impression of Destiel was, oh, what? I used to, when I first got on Supernatural, I was curious to find out whether I was going to be killed right away. So they told me I had 3 episodes, and so I would just go online after an episode aired to try to find out whether the fans were like, get this guy out of here, or we liked that character, because I knew that the writers like would check online the temperature of the fandom about things. So I would go online and I would like, what was the website? No, not a
Live journal.
Live Journal. It was Live Journal. So Live Journal had this like forum after every episode, and I would like, read something, and then I remember I clicked on like somebody's handle, and it took me to something else, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember reading this script. cast does what to Dean? And I didn't even know that any of this existed. It was like, I literally like stumbled into it and I was like, oh my God. And then by some weird coincidence, the person that wrote that was at a fan convention, like the next week, and asked a question, and for some reason, they said that they were like on LiveJournal, like there was some question about LiveJournal, and I asked what their handle was, and they said it, and I was like, oh my God, you! And then she changed colors, and I felt really bad, and then I bought her a milkshake as a consolation prize, and then she ended up we ended up becoming friends. But I didn't even know it all existed. So my first impression was like, this is bizarre. But I also, I didn't know anything about fandom in general. So I didn't know that there was this like line in the sand that you don't cross. Like you don't talk about Destiel or fan fiction in general. Like up until that point, Jared and Jensen had not talked about Wincest, which was a thing. I know, you know, whatever, I don't know. But they didn't talk, like there was like things that people didn't talk about. And I came onto the scene and I was like, sure, let's talk about it. And everybody was like, no. Like I remember like the audience would do, like when I just said Wincest, that reaction that everybody gave, that was what everyone would do anytime that like if you had gotten up to the microphone and asked a question about Destiel, when I first started doing conventions, everybody would have thrown Rotten Tomatoes at you. Like it was taboo. And so I was a little bit, I just didn't know that rule was there. And then when I found out that rule was there, I kind of wanted to break it anyway. But I think I had like curiosity and playfulness about it in general. But also like a respect for that particular universe of the storyline. And also, as time went on, I sort of felt like that was a part of I actually felt like it was a part of Castiel's version of the story. But it was like repressed. In my mind, as the actor playing Cass, it was like maybe that's there, but it was like for sure repressed somehow, which I think is actually kind of fitting because that ultimately ended up how it played out. But when I had a conversation before we started filming season 15 with Robert Behrens about Cass's confession and the content of that confession, when he proposed that, I was like, oh, really? You think we could actually do that? Like, that would be awesome. If we could do that and actually they would let us do it, that would be amazing. Because I didn't think that the powers that be would let that happen. Not after this show and at such a long-running, macho, hetero, like central messaging. I didn't think that anyone was going to be okay with one of the main characters being like, BTW, I'm gay for you. And, like, I did not think that it felt like a little bit of a chess game to me. Like I felt like I had to be delicate in maneuvering to the finish line to make that happen, because at any point somebody could have been like, anyone at the network or the studio or any one of the producers or other actors, anybody could have been like, you know what, we're not doing this, and it would have killed it. So I think both Robert Behrens and I were a little bit playing a chess game to try to make sure that scene made it to the finish line and then ultimately didn't end up on the cutting room floor. So I felt very personally gratified that made it into the show. I know that a lot of fans wanted there to be reciprocity from Dean, or they wanted like more made out of it. But I have to say, from my vantage point, I felt like the fact that we got to where we got was a really big deal. Because I think, truthfully, I think Supernatural is like, it was, at that point, at 15 years in, it was a vestige of a former era.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm on a show that has bi characters, gay characters, trans characters, and a multiracial cast. And it's like, and it all feels kind of normal. And it you know, it feels normal. But Supernatural started as straight white men, and that felt normal then, you know? And so for a show that was a legacy from another time to actually successfully begin to bridge and allow itself to become something a little bit different felt somehow meaningful, like a small, ever so slightly meaningful gesture in my mind. We could have done a lot better all along the way, I think, but I'm really gratified that we landed where we did in the end anyway. And I also don't want to dismiss, like, we could have done more, you know, there could have been more. We could have done more, we could have been more inclusive, and I'm not trying to, like, whitewash it and say that we did something perfect, because we certainly didn't, but I was glad that we made it as far as we did, you know, that's all, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for, like, a whole more bunch of data for my thesis.
You're welcome. That's yeah, you have some good primary source there. Right, that was very academic. Cannot believe you're getting a degree in that. Ridiculous. Hi.
Hi, Misha. Thanks so much for that. That was brilliant. Got a bit of question about meditation. I believe you said that you do it pretty much every day. I was wondering, what was it that actually made you get into it in the first place, look into it, into meditation? And over the years, I suppose you kind of gain more practice. What kind of benefits do you get from it, and does it change depending on, not only, well, I suppose, does it change depending on moments in your life? It's like, what benefits do you get from meditation generally?
Oh, I see. I started meditating like 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago now, I guess. And I was kind of just at a point in my life where I was having a bit of an existential crisis. Like, I didn't know what, I felt like I didn't know what the purpose of my life was. And it was just it was genuinely an existential crisis. Like, what's the point of anything? I don't know why I'm pursuing the career I'm pursuing. I don't know what I'm doing in my relationships. I don't feel like I have a meaning in my life. It was like a sort of the classic situation to get somebody to join a cult. And, so I had a friend at the time who I met at parties. Like, we would go to these like wild, like desert rave parties. I was in my 20s, and we'd go do drugs and be stupid. And there was a guy there who was like the biggest drug head of everybody, and everybody called him the alien. And all of a sudden, he just like stopped doing any drugs and started meditating. And I was like, hey, what is it that you're doing over there? Because that sounds like it might be interesting. And And then I went to a 10-day silent meditation retreat, which was really, really hard. And I had never meditated before, so I didn't know what I was getting into. And I thought I was going to lose my mind. It was really hard. But at the end, I felt like a different person. And I also sort of felt like I maybe was on the beginning of like a path that made some sense. And there are so many benefits that I've gained from it over the years. But I can tell, like on a day when I don't meditate, that I'm just a little off. I remember I used to always have a voice in my head. It was my voice talking to me, like telling me, worrying about what I should be doing next or what just happened. But it was like a constant companion. I was just talking to myself verbally in my own head constantly. And after I'd been meditating for about a year, I was driving in Los Angeles and I realized, like, oh my God, I've just been driving for the last 5 minutes. Nobody is talking in there. I'm just driving. And it was this amazing epiphany, like, oh, you can actually just be doing the thing that you're doing and not in the future or in the past at a given moment. That's kind of amazing. And there are a lot of other benefits too. Like it can help. It helps me be less reactive. So when something bad happens, my response can be like, oh shoot, instead of, oh fuck, you know? Like a little bit less reactive. And the time that I stew on something is shorter. So instead of like, somebody does something that really upsets me, instead of losing sleep for 3 nights about it, I only lose sleep for 1 night. But I don't know. I don't know where I'd be without it. I wouldn't have pursued. I would have given up on my acting career 20 years ago for sure. I definitely needed that to keep me going in the process. And one of the ways it kept me in acting was that it helped me realize that I don't need to be my pursuits are not about attaining some future goal, but it's about the process of where I am right now, just doing the thing that I'm doing and finding gratification in that. In Buddhism, they call it the path, like you're on the path. It's not about the destination, it's about the path. And for me, realizing like, oh, it's about the daily work itself being gratifying and not the imagined future success that I might someday attain. That is actually ultimately what it did allow me to have some measure of success, was that I wasn't thinking about where it was getting me. But that's been my particular journey with it.
Amazing. Is it something that you should actually do every day, would you recommend?
Yeah, I think it's better every day, unfortunately. I'm going, like in 2 weeks, I'll go do another retreat, and it'll be a week of silence, and I'll feel great when I'm done. For sure.
Places that you go to, like places.
Yeah. I've done like, I think I've done like 20 10-day retreats now. Like I've spent a solid year meditating, I think. Yeah, it's a big waste of time. Yeah. Hi.
My question is, I saw your video with the sheets you filmed yesterday, and also yesterday I saw a fan art where like Dean and Cass were drawn as dogs, and found another picture of you from Photoshop where you were like cat ears, and that lead me to a question: what is your favorite animal?
I love how you got there. I don't know. I'm not 6. Do I have a favorite animal? Dogs. Cats? No.
Dogs.
Did someone say what?
The rat.
Mouse. It was a mouse. Come on. I don't know. I don't fucking have a favorite animal. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be honest with you here. I have a spotted gecko lizard. That is the kid's pet at home, and I have to say it's not my favorite. Yeah. What's your favorite animal?
I like Black Panther.
You like black panthers? See, that's a cool animal to like. My daughter loves bats. That's her favorite animal, and she's like scared of the dark. And like needs the light on, and things can really creep her out. She doesn't like my two-face mask at all. But she has like posters of bats all over her room, which she thinks are adorable and great. So, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry you got nowhere with that. Sorry, you waited in line and everything. I wrote that whole other woman's dissertation, and I can't even tell you what my favorite animal is. It seems unfair.
Just talking to me happy.
Oh, well, that's sweet. Well, you remind me that my favorite animal is humans. Thanks.
Yes.
Hi, Misha.
Hi, humans. Hi.
So you wrote your poetry book.
That is true. Yes, no one else wrote it.
And I'm actually not a person who is reading books, but your poetry book made me so emotional. You put your heart in that. I felt that. And I wanted to ask you, well, it was an idea of a friend of mine to ask that, and that is if you think of writing another poetry book.
Whether I think of writing another book?
Yes.
I initially, when I first wrote my book, I thought for sure that was it. I was not going to write another poetry book. But then, since then, I've written a bunch of poems, and I really want to figure out a way to monetize them. Somebody asked me why I write poems, and honestly, it's just for the money, you know. There's a lot of money in poetry, people.
By the way, I have it all the time with me.
You have what?
I have it with me all the time.
The book? Really?
Yes.
Where? Prove it. No, it's not with you. No. She is going to prove it. Shit, I'm sorry. I have written some poems lately that have made me think maybe I would try to publish some more. But that, okay, I now believe you. It looks like you spilled something on it though, huh? What is that? Do I want to know?
No. I didn't want that one, but you're right. I was having the book with me, and
do you use it as a napkin?
No, it got, I don't know how, but it got really wet, and I had to find another one because I was so sad.
Well, this was another money-making scheme of mine. I intentionally made them not waterproof, so you would have to buy Stop it. That's two. I've yelled at you twice now. Don't talk about my book's influence. Thank you for that question. That was nice of you. Where did everybody go? They've left. Does that mean I'm supposed to leave as well? Oh, I'm getting this thing. Stop. Have you been doing that for a long time? Have you been trying to get me off for a long time? Apparently, yes. I'm so sorry to keep you all. Do you want to talk about anything else before I go? Stop! Anyone have a last question? Last question? Gotham Knights? Okay, I'll tell you everything I know. Nothing. I know nothing. I hope that we get a second season. I don't know how many of you have been able to watch Gotham Knights? Oh, good. A small fraction. I hope you watch this week's episode, because it's all me. Next week's episode. That's right, that's what I just said. Oh, whatever. What the fuck? So, I have to go meditate now. Yeah, it made me curious. That's, in American English, we say this week for this coming week. So I would say this week's episode. You have to watch this week's episode. But it doesn't matter. Oh my God. Oh my God. Stay calm, Misha. Thank you for your hospitality. Not you, but thank you everyone else for your hospitality.